بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today, inshallah ta'ala, I'd like to talk to you about the differences that I found studying as a student in the Faculty of Sharia in Saudi, graduating with fiqh in 2020, and my experience of Western academia doing a master's degree in law. And inshallah ta'ala, I just want to make this video talking about, the different aspects of talib al-ilm, seeking ilm, and Western academia. For those who don't know me, my name is Khalid Hassan, founder of Taqsil Institute. Please look at our channel, like, subscribe, and inshallah ta'ala, there'll be more educational, beneficial content coming out, inshallah ta'ala. So one of the first things I found when it comes to Western academia, you can only kind of have a look at talib al-ilm, seeking knowledge. You can only not critique it, but you can review it after you've experienced something else. And that's why they say in Arabic, وَبِضِدِّهَا تَتَمَيَّزُ الْأَشْيَاء. You'll know something else by looking at its opposite. And one of the things I found when it came to seeking ilm and Western academia is that when it comes to talib al-ilm, learning fiqh, learning hadith, learning aqidah, learning usul al-fiqh, learning nahu, okay, learning mutun al-ilmiya, memorizing texts, for example, you memorize al-waraqat, usul al-fiqh, you memorize this and that in other sciences, right? What's one of the things that I found, the salient differences? One of the biggest differences I found was when it comes to talib al-ilm and learning Islamic knowledge, there is a big emphasis on understanding and knowing your subject matter. You need to know it. There's no way out of it. You have to know your subject. If somebody now says to you, عرف الطهارة, what is the definition of طهارة? You have to be able to say it quickly. الطهارة هي الارتفاع الحدث وما في معناه وزوال الخبث, for example. So there's a strong emphasis on understanding your subject. You might not know the history of the doctrine and so on and so forth, but you know the ahkam, the rulings of tahara, the rulings of salah, the rulings of izalat al-najasa, removing impurities, and so on and so forth. When it comes to Western academia, excuse me for sweating, it's boiling here in London today. When it comes to Western academia, there is a greater emphasis on analysis. Analyze the text, critique the text. Now, I'll be honest with you. I grew up doing that because I went to a school in the West. I was born and raised in London, so I understand the school system. But I found the talab al-ilm route, the route of seeking ilm, to be better in terms of cultivating a student of knowledge who is strong in what he's studying and strong in his area of expertise, which is fiqh and usul, generally speaking, right? So what I found was, when it comes to studying, or when it comes to Western academia, like I said, it focuses on analysis. As long as you can analyze, nobody can really catch you out, because the aim of the game isn't learning your subject matter. It's about critiquing and analysis. Whereas it's much different. If you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to Islam and fiqh, you can be found out very easily. Now, I would say that the talib al-ilm method is much, much better. Why? Because once you know your subject matter well, you're able to critique it. And that's how people, ulama like Ibn Qudam and all these people, they're able to write compendiums of comparative fiqh, al-Mughni, for example. Or for example, al-Qarafi, when he writes al-Dhakhira, for example, Maliki fiqh, okay? And all these other books in other madhahib, for example, right? The reason why they're able to critique is because they've got subject knowledge. There's no point in critiquing if you have no knowledge of your subject. So that's the kind of difference I found, okay? That's the kind of difference in reality I have found. That if you're able to understand your subject matter and understand it well, you're able to break down concepts very easily. So that's why, alhamdulillah, when I went to study just this master's degree in law, just to be able to ingratiate myself, number one, with the English language, and number two, to be able to speak about Islamic concepts. And I don't need, I don't have to translate in my head all the time. That's one of the reasons why I studied the course. And I'll be honest with you, when it came to studying the course, I found the course to be extremely easy because it was just analysis. It's analysis, it's understanding basic concepts. So they go over the thing conceptually, and then the rest is analysis and critique and so on and so forth. It's not a judgment of your subject knowledge. It isn't. There's barely any memorization and so on and so forth. Whereas when we did fiqh, okay, when we studied with the ulama in the masajid and when we studied in the faculty of sharia, you had to understand, you had to memorize the ta'rif, the definition. You had to understand, you had to define, you had to bring the evidence, the dalil. You had to know their ilal, the judicial reasoning behind it. So those are, I would say personally that the best method of learning something is definitely through the traditional talab al-ilm method. And if a person wants to go and study in academia later on, la ba'sa bidhalik, there's no problem with that. And inshallah, that's it. That's just a brief breakdown of my kind of experience. Make sure that you, inshallah ta'ala, follow us on social media. It will be down below, alhamdulillah, my page, the page of our institute, at-Ta'sil, where we're trying to develop a real kind of, if you like, educational institute that will teach Muslims all over the world, particularly in the West, or those who speak the English language. Barakallahu feekum wa ahsanallahu ilaykum wa assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.